Hi, I'm Martin Cross, Royal Brand's commentator. You might recognise my voice. And it's been a fantastic season, 2018. And I really just wanted to pick out 10 moments that were the most exciting moments for me as a commentator, as a regatta watcher in 2018. There are some great sort of performances that haven't made the list. The American women winning those amazing 2 gold medals in women's 8 and women's 4s in the World Championships. St Paul's, the school crew that won the Princess Elizabeth in a phenomenal record time at Henley this year. And, you know, off the water, what was really exciting, my old mate Steve Redgrave getting made the Chinese performance director. But they're not in the list. What are here in my top 10?
So Jason Osborne from Mainz in Germany, the new lightweight men's single sculls champion, smoothly glides into 10th place.
So Jason Osborne, so smooth, so relaxed. I think that front end, the way that front end goes in is just perfection. Robert Sens, his coach at the Mainz club, has done an amazing job. And Jason Osborne's such a fantastic athlete on the bike as well. Maybe we'll see him in the Olympics in 2024. But for now, he's looking for a doubles partner for Tokyo. But that world record, 6:41 that he set, one of the few world's best times set in the World Championships, was amazing. It was a tremendous performance from Osborne.
Next up, the amazing women's double sculls final from the European Championships in Glasgow.
Here's the lineup. So European champions up there in lane 1 from the Czech Republic. Then it's France, Lithuania, Netherlands, Italy, and Poland. So they are off the start. So it's the Netherlands and Lithuania in those centre lanes, lanes 3 and 4, that qualified straight from the heats on Thursday. The other crews came through the repechage.
There's the Niçoise, Elodie Rivera Scaramuzzino, taking that French boat off at a real pace. And, well, it's the European champions out in front, the Italians, by Seppi and Montesano. Montesano on the left. There's the European champions. Looks smooth and nice off the start, coached by Joseph Lux, out of Prague. And, an early lead for the Czechs. They like to lead out. They'll be probably up there for the first half of the race. And there's a look at the Italians.
That young Italian crew, just 20 and 21 years of age.
Yeah, Valentina Essepi, the Italian bowwoman, rode this year at Washington University on West Coast America. She's another Husky, one of 5 or 6 in the championships. But the Lithuanians, look at the power of Eva Adomova-Kaite. She also was at Washington University, another Husky in this race. She's left there now and is now back in Lithuania, studying there. Powering this Lithuanian double.
There again, the Czech crew, reigning European champions, just sitting down on the Lithuanians at the moment. In 3rd place, Rose de Jong and Lisa Skainard moved ahead of them to take 2nd place here. Just coming into this first timing marker. So the Lithuanians are going through ahead of Netherlands and Czech Republic.
Yeah, 1:41, that's, the wind's dropped a bit. It's about 4 seconds off the world's best time pace, so not as close as the racing we've seen today. But what a great head-to-head contest between the Lithuanians and the Dutch. I think the gold and silver medal will be between those doubles. The Czechs still in bronze medal position, but I do expect that the French will have something to say on that, and the Italians. But it will be a magic of the skull if the Czechs managed to get a bronze medal in the company of this field. Lisa Skainard on the stroke of the Dutch double on the left of your picture. Scholar from Fate Eindhoven. There's the Italians, and in the bows of that boat, Valentini Essepi, the Washington oarswoman, now back home in Italy.
These two, that big figure of Yeva, Adam Vaichu leading this race still, 4 metre lead over the Dutch. such strong sculling from the stroke woman of the Lithuanian boat.
Yeah, and the Dutch had quite a big fade in the second quarter in their heat. They're not showing that today. They might have to put in some extra power to stay with the Lithuanians. They really do like to throw in a strong second quarter. There's the French just getting the better. The duel for the bronze medal. Vera Scaramuzzino and Hélène Lefebvre, coached by Christine Gossa, coming through just to challenge Italy. So we go through the 1,000 metres, and the Lithuanians, well, they are strong in that second quarter, aren't they? Got a metre lead over the Dutch. Italy right up there. France in bronze medal position. It's very close between the Czechs, the European champions, and Italy. Poles a little bit off the back. Leja Chenard there. Such a great single sculler, 5th in the world last year. 29-year-old sculler. This double coached by Isabel Jacobs to perfection, and the Dutch now going head-to-head in this third quarter with the Lithuanians. This is everything we expected between these two doubles, Kat. Yeah,
that's right. The Dutch just really strong in this third quarter, and they're not letting the Lithuanians get out of their sight. It's going to be really interesting to see who sprints for the line, the hardest out of these two crews. It's just so smooth in that Dutch crew, really loose, long strokes.
I have seen the Lithuanians win the world title with an incredible sprint in 2013 back in Chungju, and that was with Danuta Visitate in the stroke seat, not now as we see the giant figure of Eva Adomowicz-Kuyate.
The Dutch have just pushed through in the last few strokes to take the lead now. They've nudged out a couple of metres ahead of Lithuania.
Yeah, we're looking at the Italians locked in that battle for the bronze medal with the French, and the Italians just slightly back off the pace, but pretty much barrel to barrel with the French. Italy got number 5 on their bows. The French just pushing through to a bronze medal position. That is a very mature scull from this French double, which took a well-deserved silver medal last year at the Lucerne Regatta. Couldn't match that this year. They finished in the final in 6th place, but it's a real head-to-head between the gold medal. The Dutch, as you say, pushed in front with 500 metres to go. Who's your money on, Kat?
Oh, I'm just not sure I can call it. I think the Dutch might hang on to it at this stage, but between Italy and France for the bronze as well, Italy have just nudged ahead of France, but France just timed their race to perfection in the heat. They really had a great pace there. The
Dutch looked so smooth on the way forward, just nice, relaxed, kept unfussy through the race. But I think the power of Adomowicz-Kuyate in the stroke seat is going to tell here. Here she comes, absolutely pushing it down. The 6'3" Lithuanian stroke woman, 1m93. Sorry, one inch short. The French coming up. Where is that charge coming from? Christine Gossa, their coach, is going to be going mad. A fantastic sprint from Elodie Vera Scaramuzzino. The Niçoise really turning on the style. The Italians going with them. This is the best race of the day, Kat.
Yeah, what a finish here from the French. These guys up at 38 strokes a minute. They're pushing on to the Dutch crew, challenging for that silver medal. The Italians have gone with them. Italians still back and forth, but the French keep coming up at 40 strokes a minute. Lithuanians hanging on to that lead. They're at 40 strokes a minute. The Italians, the Dutch continue to push them. Dutch clinging on to that second place, but the French are going to come through. The French are coming through into second place, and they're going to challenge for the gold here. Lithuanians really still pushing on, responding to the French charge. Can the French get gold? It's all to play for here. The Dutch still in with contention, bow ball to bow ball. The Italians not out of it yet. France have now pushed ahead into first place for the first time in this race. What an incredible finish from the French crew. Last couple of strokes to the line. It's going to be gold for France. The Dutch come through for silver. Lithuanians taking third ahead of Italy in fourth. What an amazing finish from France.
Oh, you talk that through so well. Elodie Vera Scaramuzzino and her partner Hélène Lefebvre from the Encourage Marine Club. They can't believe it. They cannot believe it.
They must know they've done it. They know they've won. Are they looking around for confirmation?
Yeah, they won't know. They just had heads in the boat. There were so many doubles going across the line. They still won't know. We know, but they don't really. The Dutch aren't sure. Well,
second place.
Second place for the Dutch. They can't believe they haven't won almost. What a race. I mean, that was one of the best races I've ever seen, I think, in the last 500 meters.
I'm out of breath just watching it.
From the French. And we're waiting for a photo finish. Did the Lithuanians get rode out of it by the Italians? No, they didn't.
No, third, 6:56.54 from them.
How much? What was the distance between those three doubles? So probably less than half a second.
So France, so the winning time 6:55.99 through to fourth place 6:56.6. So spread of 0.6 of a second between four places, but with the medals just half a second.
There's the Lithuanians in the middle of the race. They did lead.
Yeah,
that's the.
Lefevere and Scamrosino are unlikely winners of that European final. It was an amazing race, and four doubles were within 0.7 of a second. The French won it, the Dutch, the Lithuanians, and the Italians in fourth place. It was so exciting. Any one of those four could have won it, and I really, really enjoyed commentating on that race.
Next up, another fantastic eights race at the Lucerne Regatta.
As we're off the line here at the start of the men's eight, the Germans getting just a little dropped. Their stern down by about a canvas in this early stage, but the Dutch absolutely flying out of the blocks.
Yeah, we see the thing about the Germans, they're not too bothered about the first 5-10 strokes, but whether they look to maintain their paces from 200 through to about 600 metres, they just get the boat, almost pulling it up towards them, and their bows go out in front at that point of the race, Sarah. So, stroke by Johannes Ocek, the German stroke man from the Schweiner Ruder Club. And just as we thought, well, it is the Australians out in front, but Germany coming through. They're in second place at the moment. The under-23 Americans, what a fantastic start they've had in third place. Crew at the top of your picture, the Canadians not out of the picture. There is Hannes Ocek, that black ribbon on his rowing suit. Martin Sauer, Cox, who took them to Olympic gold in 2012, had to settle for silver behind Great Britain in Rio in 2016.
It's just an incredible shot seeing the eights and seeing all the people on the course. Such an incredible boat, so fast. You can see the Australians on the far side there. They're the early race leaders, being stroked there by Angus Widdicombe, the coxswain, of course, Kendall Brodie, female coxswain of the men's eight. As they come through the 500, it is Australia, a canvas over the Germans. We saw a bit of the speed in the time trial at Linz with this Australian crew, so there was always a potential for them to be quick, but these are the guys to watch, the Germans in the middle of the course.
Martin Sauer looking to his left. I think he's going to be worried that Germany aren't out in front. They're going to have to at the front, because traditionally we say the leader at 500 in the men's eight will be in front at the finish. And this Australian eight is absolutely rowing out their skins. We didn't pick them to win this event, but that's a fantastic start they've had. Canada out of it there. Sam Bosworth, you can see the Kiwi Cox, Caleb Shepherd urging his crew on. There are the Australian blades in front, Sarah.
Australia, the fastest boat on the course. As I said, Kendall Brodie in the stroke. Angus Widdicombe from Mercantile Rowing Club in the stroke seat. Josh Booth from Melbourne Uniboat Club. Tim Masters, UTS. Nick Purnell from SUBC, Sydney University Boat Club. Of course, I had to get that in there. Simon Keenan from MUBC. Angus Moore from Sydney Rowing Club. Rob Black from Mossman, and Liam Donald in the bow seat from Mercantile. They are the race leaders, but the Germans, they have this hunt on. They are looking to get their bow into the lead, and it looks like they're just switching positions with the Australians. They're tussling there for the lead.
Well, three of these men, Angus Moore, Tim Masters and Josh Booth from the Australians, won the Grand Challenge Cup in that incredible race in Henley, where they beat first Britain and then the Romanians, who aren't here. Kendall Brodie coxed them, the 26-year-old, There she is looking across at her opposition. She's telling her boys, you're up on the Germans, you're up on the world champions, guys. The Australians did set a quicker time than the Germans in the time trial heats at Linz, Austria 3 weeks ago, but the Germans had them in the final, and they are moving back. Johanna Socek has really got a pace on now. Richard Smith, the anchor of this crew, the Olympic champion from 2012, really anchoring. What a race as they come past the coaches, Sarah.
But look at third place, the United States of America, the under-23s. They'd have to go in as top favourites, but to be third in this men's 8 final is incredible from that young crew. We see the Dutch there currently just struggling. They're sitting in 4th position. They've got to really step it up now if they're going to get themselves into the medals.
Look across from Riley Milne, the American coxswain. Yes, boys, you are in 3rd place, and that is the Dutch that are going toe-to-toe with you. The Dutch will be gutted if they miss out on the medal here. But look at Hannah Socek, smooth and calm as ever. Richard Smith really shoving it in, and the big 6-man in the German 8, Malte Jaszak. That's the experience in the stern. They're the guys left from the Rio combination, but it's still the Australians right in there, and the Germans have got to do something special. The Australians will know they could win this race. That'll be a sensational result, Sarah.
This is like a re-row of last year. This is exactly what we saw in the men's 8, Australia and Germany with 500 to go locked together, except we didn't have the top 4 in there this time. This is incredible from the Australians in 2nd, but the young Americans in bronze. What a race this is shaping up to be with 400 metres to go.
I think the Dutch are just coming back on the Americans. You can see the Americans there, but toe-to-toe, Germany, Australia, the British really came back on the Germans. They put the hammer down in the last 500. I think Australia are leading them. Martin Sowers looking across to his left, to his right, to his left again. Australia, he's saying, come on, boys, you need one more stroke. And there's about 300 metres left to go. Germany's bow hits the front.
And here go the Germans. They're a canvas up on Australia now. The Australians are hurting, but the fastest boat on the course is the Dutch. Have they left too little too late with 2:50 to go?
The Dutch are charging, and they will come back through. The Australians could still win this race if they find a bit of magic. If their stroke man Angus Whittaker could just dig deep and drive his crew on. Kendall Brody, their female coxswain, they are coming back, Sarah. They are coming back.
The Australians, Australia drawing level with Germany as we come down. Here come the Dutch. They're pushing it up, but they won't be in this. It's Australia. It's Germany as they drive down to the line. I think the Germans just have it.
Johanna Socek taking his crew on. They have about half a metre. Will it be enough on the line? It could all be on the surge. Oh, my goodness, I think the Germans just got it from the Australians. The Dutch take the bronze medal in a breathless finish. USA just settled for 4th place. A magical row from the Americans. Johanna Socek, his head down, those black ribbons in memory of Roland Barr, the great strokeman. Boys, you did his family proud.
They crossed the line. They could see Angus Whittaker look across. He didn't know if they'd gotten there. But it looks like the Germans have just got that win over the Australians.
What a finish to end this World Cup season, Sarah. Oh, dear, that was such an emotional race. I just didn't believe the Australians would be up there. They had their 4, of course, in that Grand 8. He's just looking, he's pointing Angus Whittaker, the 23-year-old Victorian, just to check the results. He's not sure who's won, who's lost. Kendall Brody, the coxswain, doesn't know either. We know up here because we got the results. The Dutch sit and wait. Thumbs up, bronze medal for them. Perhaps they'd hope for more. Really, they had the fastest time in the heats. You thought the win might be there for them.
And if you're Ian Wright now, coach of the Australians, gold in the men's 4, silver in the men's 8 here, I mean, you're feeling pretty good about your chances coming into Tokyo, surely.
A validation. I don't know if the announcement has been made yet. Johanna Socek waiting, puts his feet in the water. Richard Smith, such an anchor in that boat. Malte Jaszak behind him. Jakob Schneider, the big 6-man. And then the young Torben Johannesson. There's the finish there. Look at that. How close was that? Just on the surge. We're thinking it's Germany. Yes. What is that? Like a few centimetres from the Australians. They hung on. The Netherlands took that bronze medal. Still waiting for the announcement. Max Planner with the beard there. absolutely destroyed. Felix Wimberger behind him, the 28-year-old two-man, and Johannes Wiesenfeld, 23 years old, up in the bow seat. This was the shot you were talking about, Sarah. Sensational between these eights, and the beautiful shot that the TV team are giving us here.
Yeah, we look at the Australian blades on the screen there. What a row from this Australian crew. Stroke man Angus Widdicombe, he raced in the pair at Henley last week with Campbell Watts.
There's Martin Sauer urging his crew on toe-to-toe with the Australians. And there's the grandstand as they came up towards the finish line. Great shots that we're getting here. This absolute brilliant. There's Martin Sauer looking to his left. There was that time he looked to his left, he looked to his right, he looked back to his left again, just checking where they were. Urging Hannes Ocek for one more charge, one more sprint for the line, and the Uwe Bender coach crew. Well, just emerging supreme. They won in Belgrade, they won in Linz. It was close. They lost the British in the repechage in the middle of that regatta. They turned it round for the final. They've certainly pulled something out of the bag here. And the drone shot, Sarah, isn't that just sensational? That is what top-class rowing is all about. The Germans trucking over 40 strokes a minute. The Australians...
What an unusual race the men's eights final at Lucerne was. The Germans, uncharacteristically down early on in the race, had to really fight through. The Australians that had a great time trial result at Linz but came back in 5th place. It was an amazing result for the Australian eight, but even better for the Germans, just secured a narrow win. So exciting in the last part of the race.
In 7th place, who could forget that fantastic men's 4 final in Plovdiv at the World Championship?
It was Di Costanzo and Lotto will do the same, and I'm so looking forward to this race.
Yeah, rate is going to be a feature of this one. My eyes drawn towards the Italians, who normally go out like they certainly mean it, but we're having a look here with this Australian crew, and that is rate and power as they get off the start.
Yeah, we know that in the semi-final, Australia and Italy, the 2 heat winners, neither of those crews below 40 strokes per minute in the entire race. Australia up on 50 strokes a minute there out of the blocks, but it is the Romanians who are in the lead by about half a canvas over Australia in lane 3.
So here's these Romanians. They've won the under-23s this year. They've won the European Championships this year. So why not take it on here at the Senior World Championships? They've got the lead coming up through 250. How long can they hold it?
Well, the Romanian coach, Antonio Colomanici, the Italian who coaches all these crews, says he wants his squad to be one big happy family. Ian Wright, who coaches the Aussies, well, he wouldn't invite athletes home for dinner because he doesn't want that type of relationship. It's a fascinating clash between the coaches of these 2 leading boats at the moment. Romania closest to you, leading the race. Australia over there in lane 3 in 2nd.
Australia still the highest rating boat on course, up at 45 strokes a minute. We see Alex Hill there in the stroke seat from Adelaide Rowing Club. Take a look across to get the check on the Romanians. They're keeping the rate up. They want to make sure they're in the lead before there is any kind of settle down with their rate, but still up at 45 strokes a minute as they come through the 500-metre mark. Australia in the lead, followed by Romania and the Netherlands.
Well, I think Australia will win this race now. They've got through the fast-starting Romanians. The question is, are the Romanians going to pick up a medal? The Dutch moving smoothly with the Italians. The Germans were closer to the Australians in the heat. They're riding with the Italians. Marco Di Costanzo from the Pasilio Canottieri Club and Matteo Lotto just out of shot, the 3-man who is world champion in the men's pairs from the Fiammi Oro Club. Australia are out and gone. It's their gold medal to lose, guys.
I think that's a big shout already. I know they're the form crew. It used to be that if you saw a crew coming through 600 metres still at 43 strokes a minute, you'd be saying that this crew can't keep this up. But we know this Australian crew can keep it up. They've got that length, they're getting that bit of clear water, and what a fascinating race it is virtually across the field here as the Dutch now starting to show their way through. Will this longer, different kind of rhythm down at 39 strokes a minute be able to move them up into the silver and then press on towards the Australians?
The Australians now in the lead by clear water over the Dutch in 2nd, but here come the Italians I think the Romanians are looking a little tired. The Italians starting to push up, but Australia still the fastest moving boat on course, still up at 42 strokes per minute. We're going to see another race here where they don't go below 40. This is incredible, coming through the 1,000-metre mark. The world champions, Australia, through the 1,000-metre mark in the lead with Clearwater over the field.
Oh my God, they've just destroyed that field. Look, the race for the silver and bronze medal is back. Germany are not really going to figure in that race. Britain too, probably out of it. They do have a good second half if you're watching in Britain. But let's have a look at the Australians. Alex Hill, the South Australian, absolutely leading his men. They were at 43 in Lindsay and Wright thought that was a bit high, down to 42 now, Greg.
Well, and I think the thing they've got is they've still got length, so there's still long strokes as well as having that high rate. So they're able to just keep the boat moving and somehow able to keep this rate up. It's incredible to see.
Beautifully down the centre of the lane. Sarah, this must look great for you.
Oh, look, this is just such an amazing shot, isn't it, from the drone looking down on the field. Look at the Australians. They are blowing apart the field here. In the bow seat, Josh Hicks from Sydney Rowing Club. In the two seats, Spencer Tarrant from Sydney Rowing Club. From Dungog in New South Wales, Jack Hargraves, another country boy from Nyngan, New South Wales, from Sydney Uni Boat Club. We saw his parents, they're just delighted. And in the stroke seat, Alex Hill.
And if you're watching this in Britain, we welcome you with the news that Britain are now in a bronze medal position. A great push from James Johnson, backed up by the man mountain that is Adam Neal, the 28-year-old. In the three-seat, Jacob Dawson, the former Husky. In the two-seat, Tom Ford from Newcastle. There's the British, you can see them vying with the Italians who are in silver medal position. It is head-to-head. Well, look at that, Greg.
What a great shot from the drone that we can see. The Australians are up there, as you say. The gold medal looks like it's theirs, but the British crew will be delighted to have moved up and be level with the Italians. The Dutch look like they went, but doesn't look like they got too much more to give.
So it's the Australians out in front. The gold medal is theirs to lose. Italy and Britain head-to-head. The Italians have probably a better sprint in the last 250 than the British, but I think the British have done their work. They will look to their left, to the Dutch, to see if the Dutch strokeman Bram Swartz has anything left in the tank.
Here come the Italians. They now have overlap. They can see the crew, the Dutch, off to their left-hand side. So the Australians under pressure now, still in the lead, but the Italians, the fastest moving boat on the course. They're being pushed by the British to their right, the Dutch to their left. It's going to come down to the last 250 metres here.
So here we go, coming into the last 250. They're into those red buoys. The Australians are going to want the finish line to come because they've been up at that high rate the whole way. The Italians now sprinting back towards them. I think the Australians have got enough of a lead that they'll be fine. The British moving on. The Dutch out of our shot are moving on to try and get into the medal race. But it's the Italians coming back towards the Australians. Are the Australians going to blow? Can the Italians come through?
What a finish from the Italians. They are coming back on the Australians. Every single stroke. Australia in the lead. The Italians, they could do it. This could be another magical finish for Lotto. He did it in the men's pairs last year. Will he do it in the men's fours? Australia lead. Italy, the line's going to come for Australia just in time. Oh my God, Italy take us to well. Britain, bronze ahead of the Dutch. That was oh so close. Sarah Cook holds ahead in the hands. Romania finished 5th. The Germans finished 6th. Absolute delight for Josh Hicks there in the bow seat. Oh my God.
Wow, we saw the double fist pump there come from Jack Hargraves in the 3-seat. He looked across. He didn't know if the Italians had gotten there. They looked like maybe they had it on the surge when he looked across. But Australia has done it. We saw Josh Hicks they're claiming that race win a little bit questionably as they cross the line. But it is Australia who has taken the World Championship. But what a race by Britain. I mean, we didn't give them much airtime because there was such a insane race unfolding in the last 250 metres between the fast finishing Italians and the world champions from Australia. But Britain, an incredibly good race from them to get the bronze medal. These young men from the US universities largely, a bit of a surprise perhaps.
Yeah, 2 of the British crew are at US universities, but what a finish from the Italians in the last 500, the way that they managed to step up the boat speed.
Another Australian performance, well, the men's 4, unbelievable world champs in 2017. What a season they had in 2018. Hicks, Turin, Hargreaves and Alex Hill in the stroke seat, but it was oh so close with the Italians. I didn't pick them to be that close to the finish, but Gastaldo, Rossetti, Loddo, and Di Costanzo just managed to miss out by a few metres, a little centimetre at the finish.
Next, a fantastic women's pairs race at Lucerne Regatta, where the New Zealand World Champions for the first time looked vulnerable to the Canadians.
And Hilary Janssens, and I'm really excited about this race, Sarah.
We're underway there in the first race of today's final here at the Rowing World Cup in Lucerne, as we ride there with the Kiwis on the screen.
I just wonder what their coach Gary Hay has said about racing the Canadians, because the Canadians came over to the first World Cup stop. They beat the Spanish there. Fantastic performance. I thought they were very dominant. And I think for the first time, the Kiwis will know that they've got a pair to match them in Filmer and Janssen. So I don't know what Gary Hay will have said. I don't know if the Kiwis are going to change their race strategy. When they won in Linz, Austria 3 weeks ago, they led through the 500. That was against the Italians, but this is against sterner opposition. Great showing from Lin Jiyi and Jury over there on the far side, Sarah.
Yeah, we see the Canadians here on screen, sitting up at about 38 strokes a minute. Saw them out paddling. They have such a distinctive style in the way that they row, but they're just so incredibly efficient. We can see them sitting there with the Americans off to their left-hand side.
Yeah, that's, well, we're looking now at Felice Müller. She came fourth in the pair in the Olympics with Grace Luzak, Felice Müller from University of Michigan. Okay, so the Kiwis look to be the fastest moving boat. You can see the graphics on there, just switching between them and the Canadians. What a great race. So as you look at that picture, you've got USA 1. They're just slightly back, Rielich and Brugman. O'Brien and Muller, USA 2. But about a length behind this combinations. We haven't quite looked to the left. There you see head to head with the two Canadians, Sarah. Filmer and Janssens absolutely up there. And a great performance from the Chinese Lin Jiyi and Jury over there in lane 1, just out of shot at the moment. You can see them there. The Chinese in third place, just going there with USA 2, O'Brien and Muller.
Yeah, we've seen a huge resurgence with Chinese rowing in recent years. Huge investment, a number of coaches, international coaches heading over there, and of course Sir Steve Redgrave driving that program now as their high performance director. So it is great to see the Chinese crews featuring very strongly here at the Rowing World Cup. But as you say, these Canadians taking it stroke for stroke to the Kiwis.
Yeah, well, she's not going to be bothered, Kerry Gowler, because she never looks out of the boat. So I guess the Canadians might be in a peripheral vision. She's got a great view of the two USA crews to her left as she looks back. We can see the USA 1, Molly Brugman on the left of your picture in the stroke seats from Dayton, Ohio, University of Notre Dame. But just eking out a little bit before the 1,000 metres. That's a 2-metre lead over the Canadians. And Sarah, you can see the pace of these two pairs, just taking them away from the rest of the field. The tall figure of Hilary Janssens, the 23-year-old spare in the Rio Olympics. Kaylee Filmer stroked the Canadian 8 in that Olympics that finished in 5th place. But since they came together, they have been an explosive combination. Coached by the Kiwi David Thompson, Sarah.
Yeah, that's right, and that's been really interesting to watch the effect that he's had there. We'll see the Canadian Women's 8 a bit later on, and they're certainly one of the favourite crews. Could even look something like this. We know that the Kiwi Women's 8 and the Canadian Women's 8 are two to be watching. So the women's sweep programs in the USA, Canada and New Zealand particularly very strong at the moment.
There's the blades of the Kiwis. When these pairs raced at Belgrade and Linz, they haven't competed against each other yet. Both of them had a very even split for their third quarter. We know that Gowler and Prendergast are strong in that part of the race, but so are Filmer and Janssens. And I just wonder, do you think it helps for the Canadians they've got a Kiwi coach, Dave Thompson, who knows these Kiwi women, Sarah?
Yeah, look, I mean, having that insight is really, really interesting. I mean, we've to go obviously completely away from rowing. You talk to Anna Mears and Vicky Pendleton, and when Anna's coach in cycling went across and worked with Vicky, the difference that made. And so, of course, when a coach who's worked closely with athletes or with a program goes to another program, it's not long before you start seeing some similarities start to appear. And I mean, look at this. It's been locked like this all the way. The Kiwis have inched out to just half a boat length lead, but it really looks to me like the Canadians are on the move. But don't forget the Americans here. You always know that the Americans have something to do in the last 500.
Felice Muller, the 28-year-old, in the stroke seat. Christine O'Brien, they're going to be racing in the women's 8 later in the day, but the contest is all about... I'm so excited about this because it's like Murray and Bond, the great Kiwi pair, when they were racing the British head-to-head. You've got two fantastic combinations. They really know they're in a race. Look at Grace Prendergast, the 26-year-old from Avon in the South Island. She's really suffering now, isn't she? They've kept that lead, but the Canadians haven't let go. It's just half a boat length with 500 metres to go, Sarah.
Yeah, look, I'll be really interested to see what the Canadians can do here because, you know, we see the speed that Carling Zeeman always seems to produce in the last 500 metres, the Canadian sculler. So we know that there's perhaps something there in the way that they train, that maybe they've got a turn of speed. They've had the beat up on the Kiwis, but they just look a little bit more dynamic. So I wonder if they do have that capability to jump. But I mean, I still find it hard to go past these two. They're just so incredibly efficient in the way they row.
The question is what have the Canadians invested in the middle 1,000, that third 500, to stay with the New Zealanders? I don't think the New Zealanders have ever had to produce a sprint finish, not that I've seen. They were going so well when they broke that world record, but they weren't under pressure in Poznan last year. Now they will be under pressure, still ever looking straight down the boat, the impassive features of Kerry Gowler. But boy, is she under pressure. Maybe they've got a length advantage. The Canadians, they're suffering, Sarah.
Yeah, look, here go the Kiwis. They've pushed out to a length. The Canadians aren't letting them go, though. We saw a little look across from the woman in the bow there, Kaylee Filmer.
She's moving, the big woman, Hilary Janssen, the 23-year-old, is edging it up. They will sense the New Zealanders might be vulnerable. This is a sensational finish from the Canadian pair. Look at them go.
And this is exactly what we thought we might see, a sprint from the Canadians as they wind it up. It looks like the Kiwis, they're not moving. It looks like they're rowing through concrete here. It's going to come down to the line. The Canadians are stepping again.
Kiwis still have that vital 2 or 3 metres lead. The Canadians had that sprint. Has Hilary Janssen got anything more? Will Kaylee Filmer respond? It's Gowler and Prendergast as they come up to the line, just a canvas. 2 metres lead. The Kiwis are in a sensational race from Canada. I think USA 2, O'Brien and Muller, way back in the field, will be coming in for the bronze medal. You could see the quality of those two pairs in front by the margin to the bronze medal. The first USA pair, Rielich and Brugman, take 4th. We wait for the Chinese and the under-23 Australian pair to cross the line. But boy, oh boy, Sarah, how exciting was that?
Look, I mean, the Canadians, wow, what a sprint. We did think that might be in there. We weren't sure how much, like you said, they invested in the middle part of the race in order to stick there with the Kiwis, but they would have known. They would have known, just sit on their hip, just match their pace, and then they would have known they had that turn of speed in their pocket. We saw them have a crack, but it really looked like the Kiwis weren't going to be able to answer then. And like you've said, they've never really been pushed. So this is the first time. They're probably happy to know here that they do have a bit of speed.
The Canadians are loving it. They now have measured themselves against the world's best pair, and they know there is hardly anything in it. And, you know, now they've done that sprint finish. Kaylee Filmer in the bows from Victoria University, just talking to her oarsman, Hilary.
We'd seen Filmer and Janssen, the Canadian pair, look fantastic, winning in Belgrade. When they came back in Lucerne, Dave Thompson, the Kiwi coach, he wasn't expecting much, so he said, I don't know, he must have known they were really quick. The thing was, this was so exciting because the world champions, Kerry Gowler and Grace Prendergast, a fantastic combination, and in this race they almost got taken down by the Canadians. Fair enough, the Canadians would win the Worlds, but this was one exciting race. I didn't pick that result, and it really presaged what was going to happen in Plovdiv.
What an amazing achievement by Croatia's Sinkovic brothers, adding the Coxless pairs title to their Olympic and world titles in the men's double sculls.
8.
So we see the crews up there on the start line now. For me, the big question is, has the time come for the Sinkovic brothers from Croatia, switched out of the double, now in the Coxless pair? Can they make this their year and become world champions here?
Well, we saw that the Croatians, of course, got beaten by the Italians last year. Everyone expected them, after being Olympic champions, to be able to back that up with the change from 2-oars to 1-oar in the pair. But those fast-finishing Italians, of course, Lotto and Vicino, sprinting to the line quite sensationally, relegating the Croatians to silver. But here they are on screen, the Sinkovic brothers, Martin Sinkovic in the bow, Valent Sinkovic in the stroke seat. They're currently in the lead, but only just, with the Enfoiré brothers from France off to their left and the Romanians off to their right, sitting just half a canvas down.
Yeah, well, these pairs were incredibly close in the quarterfinals and the semi-finals. The Croatians had a really similar time to the Romanians. The French were up there too. And it's very difficult, if you just look at the times, to pick the winners. Of course, if you look at the form, the Croatians, I think they're getting slightly more rotation around for the pair than you don't need that rotation in the double sculls because you're coming straight up and down. Very strong in the core, but real class athletes and absolutely moving out the French. That's a good start from them. They're very strong in the second half. The Romanians, we saw them come through in the last quarter to win the semi, so it's a great close race at the moment.
I think it's a big move that the Sinkovic brothers from Croatia have made there. From about 250 to 500, they've managed to take half a boat length on the rest of the field. As you say, Martin, the Enfoiré brothers to the left of them, they were fourth in Sarasota, and let's keep an eye on this black boat of the New Zealand pair as well. They got gold in Lucerne. Last time out for the Sinkovic brothers, they got gold at the European Championships, their first gold in a major championships. Now they're going to try and do it at the Worlds.
And look at the bow here of the Kiwi boat. They're now level pegging here with the French. We can't see them all that well here in lane 6, but there's no doubt about that black bow ball that is just edging past the French. The Kiwis now in the silver medal position. Thomas Murray in the bow seat, Michael Breck in the stroke seat. This is one of those dark horses. This is one of the crews to watch.
There are the two Romanians. We'll look at the leg drive. You can see the power in the legs and the lower back of the Romanians, coached by Antonio Colomanici. Cyprian Tudoza, who was closest to you from the Stoia club. The older 26-year-old Marius Vasily Kosmiuk from the Dinamo Bucharest club there in the bow seat. The Romanians slightly out of the picture at the moment. A little look around from Kosmiuk in the bow seat. The New Zealanders coming into the picture. The French have gone out really quickly in Lucerne. It was the New Zealanders who led. The French came through at the finish. Little different story, but the Croatians are out and gone. This is a sensational performance from them.
I think the Croatians will be pleased to have disappeared out of our picture and to have clear water on the rest of the field. We see them coming up now. This picture is taken off that bridge that goes across just before the 1,000-metre mark. They know they're halfway there, but the job's not done yet. We know New Zealand crews often push on in the second 1,000 of the race. At the moment, that New Zealand crew is in the race for the silver medal. Can anyone close this gap on the Croatians?
Oh my gosh, look at Croatia as they come through the 1,000-metre mark, blasting out to a clear water lead now, up on 38 strokes per minute. They're in the lead by, it looks, 20 odd metres. That is a huge lead that they are opening up here in this third quarter, and they're going again.
Just on that, Sarah, it's a phenomenal time. They were pretty much under the pace that Kiwi pair did when they set that phenomenal time of 6:08 in the heat at the London Olympics. 3:03 the Kiwis went through in the 1,000-metre mark. The Croatians went through in perhaps less fast conditions in 3:04, to be only 1 second outside that Kiwi time. If you're watching Eric Murray in New Zealand, we hope you're enjoying this presentation. Beautiful pair rowing, just up to the standard of you and Hamish, and incredible what they're doing on this course. We haven't seen them do this at all ever in this boat.
Well, I don't know if we can say it, but perhaps there's two races going on here. One is between the Croatians and Murray and Bond in their heads and on the stopwatch. The other race is for the silver medal. and I'm really interested in what's happened on the far side of the course. The Romanians have pushed their way back through towards the silver medal, and let's not rule out the Canadian pair at the top of the picture. They were originally spares for the 8, but they've done so well on their prognostic times. They've been allowed to race, they've made the final. Can they make the podium?
As they come across the 1500 metre mark, no doubt about the leaders. It is the Sinkovic brothers of Croatia, but look at the race for the minor medals. Romania, France, New Zealand locked together. Only 2 of these will get a medal. Here come the Enfoir brothers from France. They're trying to make a move on the Romanians, who are just ahead of them, currently in silver.
Well, the Enfoir brothers were 3 seconds quicker in the last quarter than the Kiwis at Lucerne. They have the pace and the speed, coached by that famous French oarsman Sami Barate. The 2 men from Verdun, desperate to get in on the action. The Croatians just slightly off that world's best time pace, 3 seconds at 1500 metres. They're going to come down the course in around about 6:12, a sensationally quick time for the Croatians. This is really a new men's pair. It would rival Murray and Bond were they racing, but at Croatia pair, they are flying. Greg.
Croatian pair are flying, Martin, as you say, but they're not moving on the rest of the field now. If anything, the rest of the field is coming back towards them, as it's now coming down to the French and the Romanians. Absolutely barrel to barrel racing for the silver medal. They've seen off the New Zealanders and the Canadians. Who is going to take out this silver, and could anyone possibly catch the Croatians?
All of these crews up on 43 strokes per minute. These 3 leading boats. The French have been there for most of the last 500. They've put away the New Zealanders. They're out of the middle. But who will get silver? Who will get bronze? The Romanians go again.
Yeah, there's the Croatians come out to the line. Just 5 strokes left for the Sinkovic brothers to be 2018 world champions. Another amazing feat to add to the Sinkovics. The Romanians take the silver in that race, with the Enfoir brothers from France, who take the bronze. A great result from them. Canada finished 4th. You can see what it means to Valent Sinkovic, 30 years of age. You can see what it means to Martin, his younger brother, both men from Zagreb. 6:14.96. The wind just dropping in the last quarter. Well, the Romanians, wow, yeah, pump your chest. Ciprian Ciudosa, just 21 years of age. That's what it feels like to be an under-23 rower to come through and win a silver medal on the world stage. They took bronze in the Europeans, but the French delighted too, Greg.
French are delighted too with that bronze medal. They've stepped on 1 position, finishing 4th in Sarasota. Now they'll be on the medal podium. As we take a little look back through that race, the Romanians got away well, but it was these Sinkovic brothers who really got control of it. For about 1 minute in, they just moved away from the rest of the field, and then we had that fantastic race for the silver medal. But these 2 up in front, leaving the chase back behind.
As I said, the men's pairs, well, maybe not such an exciting race, but I think the scale and depth of the Croatians' achievement, winning those world Olympic titles in the men's double sculls, and then being the first ever 2 men to get a world title in the men's pairs with 1 blade only. It was tremendous from the Sinkovic brothers, and what an achievement. So exciting.
2 great gladiators in the PR1 men's single sculls. Eric Horry and Roman Polyansky going head to head. Fantastic contest.
Polyansky's going to lead out again, and Horry's just going to hang on, or is Horry just going to try and get in front of him now?
Look, I think Horry sent a pretty big message the other day, setting that world best time. But we know that he's a little more conservative through the start as they come away here. Horry at 44 strokes a minute, the Ukrainian sculler up at 55 strokes per minute. So that's a pretty clear message there that the Ukrainian sculler Roman Polyansky has blasted out the Paralympic champion. Off to his right hand side, Horry from Australia, from Sydney Rowing Club. He is the world best time holder as of this week.
Well, that is Brad Haxton out in front, the American sculler. Where has that pace come from? The 27-year-old, coached by Patrick Kingston, and he has really blasted the field apart. He was in 2nd place behind Polyansky in the first quarter of the race in the semi-final. I thought we'd seen his best, but look, Sarah, we're seeing consistently scullers and crews being very, very brave in these A finals. This is a different level. We haven't seen this speed from Brad Haxton before. Polyansky just with that 2-metre lead over the world champion Eric Horry in lane 2. Polyansky, the Ukrainian, closest to you. Chuvashev has blasted out, and at the moment I think he is just edging through Haxton as we come to 250.
Yes, still very early in this race. We have 4 bow balls in alignment there. If you're joining us from the United States of America, you'll be pleased to see Blake Haxton in lane 3 from the US, one of the early race leaders, but now we ride here with lane 4. That is the Russian sculler Alexei Chuvashev. It's really anyone's race at this stage, but look here closest to us, Roman Polyansky from the Ukraine now getting himself into half a length lead. Going with him is Eric Horry of Australia.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see Polyansky come through. I just wonder, I think his boat is maybe geared a little bit lighter. You can see the Ukrainian just easing out over the American in the World Championships, sorry, over the Australian in the World Championships. Polyansky had a lead of around about, well, half a second or so. Just at the first mark, Horry went off quickly there, but Polyansky's gone off quicker. So I guess the pundits are saying the Australian is going to be the winner at the end of this race. But Polyansky goes through the first quarter. Wow, wow, wow. That is a hell of a speed. 2:14 through the first quarter. And the world's best time was set, of course, by Eric Horry. That time of 9:25.11 here, and I think that pace now is quicker than that world's best time, so that is a fantastic start by Polyansky. Chuvashev, well, he's run his quick start. Blake Haxton is back in 4th place, and Eric Horry in 2nd, and this is a carbon copy, Sarah, of last year's World Championship final.
Yeah, look, I think that Roman Polyansky would be trying to make the most advantage of that lane 6 that he's got. He wants to sit over Eric Horry from Australia and just be able to read that race as they're coming towards the 1,000-metre mark here. I think that his only real chance here is to keep that read and keep that distance as much as he can in front of Horry, because I think that Horry is going to have a devastating second 1,000 like we saw at the World Championships in Sarasota de Bradenton last year.
Okay, so in this classification of the PR1 single sculls, all the power is coming from the trunk, arms and shoulders. The athletes, for whatever reason, don't have any use of their lower limbs. Polyansky, his condition is hereditary spastic paraplegia, and that is classifying him for this course. The athletes are all in this for different reasons. Some of them have had car accidents, some of them have had falls, and they are all classified at the start of the season. And I think Polyansky has shown that he has got more stamina this year, and it's just a higher rate of striking. Eric Horry lower, relaxed. He's such a cool athlete, isn't he?
He is. Eric Horry on 36 strokes per minute. Polyansky up on 37, so there's only 1 point difference, but it does look a lot longer and more relaxed from my eye looking at Horry than Polyansky's style. But we saw Horry just take a little look over his shoulder, just keeping a check on Polyansky as they come under the bridge. There he goes, he looks again. So he's got this race in check. He's okay with Polyansky sitting up on him at this stage.
Okay, so we come through the 1,000 metres, and the mark for 34, the world's best time set by Eric Horry here in heat is 9:25. You can work out, if you double 4:34, if they can keep that pace over the second quarter, that the world's best time is going to be shattered. Has Polyansky got something in reserve? There we are riding with Eric Horry in 2nd place, and the Australian is coming back to Polyansky. At the 1,000 metres of the World Championships last year, Polyansky was just half a second up on the Australian, and this is now the key moment of the race. Horry is now with that longer stroke, maybe geared a little harder, so he has to take less strokes per minute than the Ukrainian. There's the drone telling us the story of the race. The speed of these two scullers, taking them well clear. Alexei Chuvashev in 3rd place, you can see him there, and Rene Pereira, the Brazilian, getting the best of 4th place, but a long way behind that bronze medal.
And we can see this is very much a rero of last year. The Paralympic gold medalist currently in the lead by half a length over the Paralympic silver medalist Eric Horry of Australia, looking across at Roman Polyansky of the Ukraine, who still has a lead. Polyansky sets his rate up to 38. Horry still on 35 as they're coming down to the 1300 metre mark. About 700 metres of this race remaining, this World Championship for 2018.
Well, Polyansky, whose hometown is Donetsk in the Ukraine, but he actually trains in the bigger cities of Dnipro and Lvov. And he has known ever since 2017 that stamina in the last quarter is his big issue. That is where he wants to really assert himself, and Eric Horry knows that his big strength is that cool, calm, collected approach. We're in the third quarter of the race. Polyansky still has a half a length lead. Eric Horry has let the Ukrainian know he's there with a little move, but there is nothing really that we've seen dramatic from the Australian like we saw, and perhaps he'll save that for the last 250 metres.
As they come through the 1500 metre mark, it is still Roman Polyansky of the Ukraine, the Paralympic gold medalist, in the lead. In second, by about half a length, is Australia's Eric Horry, the world best time holder from earlier this week. In third, it will be the Russian Alexei Chuvashev, and I think in fourth will be the early race leader Blake Haxton of the United States of America. But here we go, the last 500 metres. Does Horry have an answer for this strong first 1500 from Polyansky, as we see the water starting to chop up a bit of water coming off the blades now, Mark?
Absolutely right, but I can't believe the time they've gone through. In 1500 metres, Polyansky 6:54.94. Is Horry making his way back? That is around 9 seconds under the world's best time pace that Horry set here earlier in the regatta. There is the contest. What a great shot from the drone. You can just see that margin has been maintained. What has Polyansky got left in the sprint? He looks to be pushing the finish, the end of the stroke, much more than he was at Sarasota last year. Eric Horry, cool, calm and collected. We haven't seen the sprint from him. You can see the distance. There's around 350 metres to go. That's around 1.5 minutes left in this race. That's the camera tracking the scullers from ahead. Horry is moving back, but Polyansky still in the lead.
And as we see coming into the last 250 metres, here comes Horry. Polyansky would have known this devastating sprint was going to come through. I can see the Australian coaches over on the other bank. Lizzie Chapman coaches the pair and the four, and she works with Eric Horry through the New South Wales Institute of Sport, but it's his coach Jason Baker who is riding along the side of the course. They'd be pretty nervous at this point, Martin.
Polyansky's answered Horry at the moment, so Horry's tried to sprint back, but Polyansky's found something more. The man who took up arm wrestling just to try and see how strong his upper body was. Polyansky's moving out on Horry. What a fantastic response by the Ukrainian. The man who had took the Paralympic title over 1,000 metres has found more endurance, it seems, over the second half. Polyansky's lost something.
Polyansky just caught a crab then. That gave Horry the look in. Devastating for Polyansky. He had the lead, but he caught some water there, and here comes Horry. Horry is now canvas over the Ukrainian.
Polyansky's coming back. It's going to be Horry in the lead at the moment. That grab could cost Polyansky the world title. Horry takes the world title. Oh, heartache. The time, I think, is an unofficial world's best time. 9 minutes and 16 seconds. Eric Horry is delighted. Polyansky lost it in those rough conditions. A new world's best time. I think that is what we will see by about 9 seconds. Horry sits there supported by his sponsors.
And
Chuvashev gets a bronze medal. Sorry, Sarah.
Horry there taking his hat off and tipping his head to Polyansky. What a race as Blake Haxton from the United States comes down to the line. He will take fourth, just ahead of the Brazilian Sculler Pereira, and Andrew Horton of Great Britain coming in sixth. But great sportsmanship between these scullers. We have a replay of the start here. Polyansky blasting off in the early stages. There we see Chuvashev from Russia, who took the bronze medal. of Polianski, devastating, catching the water there with about 100 metres to go, which just gave Horry putting his pressure on all the way down to the line to cause that mistake from Polianski and taking it by.
I must admit, I picked Eric Horry to win the PR1 in single sculls, to scull through Polianski like he did in 2017 in Sarasota, but full credit to Polianski. He just took everything that Horry had to throw at him in the last 500 metres. He held him off, and you know, the lad from Ukraine, he caught that unfortunate crab in the last few strokes. Horry got through it, but it was an amazing race, and what a fantastic event this is shaping up to be ahead of Tokyo and the Paralympic Games.
One of the most exciting last 20 or 30 strokes of the season, New Zealand's Mahe Drysdale just getting through Chettle Borsch in the final of the Diamonds.
Got Sarah Winkless, fellow steward, umpiring this race.
So Drysdale against Borch, the Diamonds, single sculling. Borch has really taken this right from the outset. Look at that for a tempo. Wow. Not much doubt about his
big,
race
strong guy.
Yeah. It will not be a straightforward race for Mahe Drysdale.
No, not at all. I said Mahe, after Rio, had a year off. He's in his comeback year. You know, he's come to Henley to try and obviously win another Diamond Sculls trophy, but he's going up against one of the top guys, you know, who recently came fourth in Linz at the last World Cup. And obviously Kettle has been in the double scull in Rio. He was rowing with Olav Tulf, so learning for another great that's been successful in this particular boat class, you know, and he's just one to watch as we go forward towards Tokyo, I think.
So Kettle Borch setting a blistering early pace. Mahe Drysdale being a little bit more conservative, but he will need to stay in touch. It may be the very early stages of the race, but he doesn't want Borch to get too much further ahead than that. Been a grueling couple of days. Borch beat Charles Cousins yesterday off the Berkshire station yesterday. We're going off the Buck station today. He beat Burns by 2 lengths on Friday. And he has looked the man in form here.
But Mahe is one of these guys that never gets flustered when he's behind. He just keeps, I don't want to say plodding away because he's still moving pretty quick, but he's really good at just doing his thing. And he's got so much belief in his own ability that he can come back from any position. But it's just what shape he's in after his year off and where he is in his kind of comeback phase. You know, he's nowhere going to be near where he's going to be in 2 years' time, but it's kind of a benchmark for him each time he comes out and races.
He's just maintaining it at the moment, Drysdale, isn't he? Not falling off the pace any further. He beat Graves from the USA yesterday. Petter Tuft on Friday by 2.5 lengths. And the New Zealander at the moment with a lot of work to do against Kettle Borch, who is flying along pretty calmly at the moment.
And it's always when an athlete does that look, sometimes that's the worrying look, when they look round like that. So it'd be interesting to see what happens over the next 2 minutes in this particular race, whether Mahe can hold Kettle or start inching back on him. If he's able to keep moving away from Mahe, then the door will be closed very early.
I'm not sure he is able to move away from him at the moment. Drysdale doing the sensible thing. The New Zealander who won this last year, the Diamonds last year. Dunham of New Zealand winning this one last year.
It was a lightweight.
Yeah, unusual.
Yeah.
And every time you mention a lightweight, your face lights up.
Well, it's one of those things, you know, is to have a lightweight coming up against a heavyweight and take him down at Henley is massive. It's huge. And I love seeing that. But, you know, it was an incredible race last year. You know, great, was leading all the way. And he just got swallowed up at the end. But this is a different class field we have this year.
The record has stood for a long time as well. I don't see that going based on what we've seen so far, but 7 minutes and 23.
That's
1989
by Chalupa. I remember watching him as a kid, you know.
From Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, he was around for years. Always, unfortunately, the nearly man. Won so many silver medals.
Well, neither of these two will be thinking too much about a course record at the moment. Just be thinking about getting their hands on the trophy. And at the moment it's Borch's, but Drysdale, I think he's narrowed the gap a little bit in the last few hundred metres. certainly hasn't extended it, Borch, has he?
No, and that's what I'm saying about Mahi. He's so confident in his own ability and speed, and he will just keep coming.
And he is. He's battling along. What's he got left? Still a lot of rowing in this race.
But it's quite interesting for Mahi because he's got an internal battle with the New Zealand team, because he's got Robbie Mason, who's in the single scull, you know, who holds a world's best time. So internally he's got a battle to actually make the team to be able to compete at the big events.
Yes, that's going to be a fascinating tussle, isn't it? So, good race. Drysdale looking to try and equal the record. At the moment, that's not going to happen. He may have to wait another year before he wins a 6th Diamonds. He won't have ruled it out. Anything can happen. There's the Norwegian.
His arms are the size of my legs. Kettle's arms are massive. When you watch him take that stroke.
Kettle, Borch. There you go. If you wanted to know how big Mark Hunter's legs were, you know now.
But he's in his rhythm there. You know, he's confident, keeping his head still.
This would be a very impressive win, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If you're going against Mahi Drysdale in a Henley final and you've rode it like this, he's bossed it, hasn't he?
Mahi's still keeping in touch. And the thing is, with a small boat like the single, you can change speed so quickly. It's much harder in a bigger boat to change speed. But in a single or a double, you can really jack it up and change the boat speed very quickly. But it is about making sure that Kettle, he holds that gap he has. He's broken contact with Mahi for most of the course. He's kept that gap, so he has clear water. He must keep that as he comes into stewards and not give Mahi a sniff.
Yeah, Kettle Bilge will be hurting right now. Mahi Drysdale just on a push here. He knows it's now or never as far as this year's regatta's concerned. He's not got very long left, has he? And I don't think he's making much of an impression there on Borch.
No, it's kind of stuck there, the distance. He hasn't closed it up, but he will keep piling it on. It's one thing that Mahi does. He will just keep going.
So, Borch against Drysdale. Borch to the left of your picture, Drysdale to your right. This is the Diamond single sculling. Drysdale looking for that little bit of history. Borch looking to upset Drysdale. Perhaps a new world order. The Norwegians so strongly represented today. This will be a significant victory. You can see stewards to the left, really crowded. This will be one of their highlights. Everybody here today watching this one. Just noticed a weight disparity, if the figures are to be believed.
Yeah, I think that's having a year off, coming back.
Yeah,
I think that will come through quite a lot.
Drysdale, 104 kilos. And Drysdale, I fear, will know he's beaten now because Borch is not too far from the line. The Norwegian,
he's going for him. Mahi's going for him now. This is going to be close.
Yeah, he's dragged himself
he's
right
got a
back
sniff.
in.
This is impressive.
The finish line can't come quickly enough for Kettle Bilge, the Norwegian. The Norwegians led from Temple Island, but Mahi Drysdale, the New Zealander, has he timed this to perfection? He has. Borch is running out of steam in front of stewards on Henley War Regatta Finals Day. What a place to do that. And Mahi Drysdale with an astonishing victory in the Diamonds. It's his 6th win in the event to equal Stuart Mackenzie's record, and he's done that in incredible style. He just biding his time all the way down the course, patient, composed, and then he turned on the power in that last couple of 100 metres. Astonishing finish from Drysdale.
I spoke to Lars Johan Flodin, the coach of Kettle Bilge, the Norwegian single sculler, before the Diamonds at Henley. He said he was pretty confident that his man was going to win the Diamonds. Why not? He was up against Mahi Drysdale, the Kiwi Olympic champion, but not fully fit. He wasn't going to be the New Zealand single sculler. But Kettle Bilge leading all the way in the Diamond single sculls, but Drysdale, 5 times Diamond champion, kept at him. In the end, Bilge cracked. Drysdale went through to win a 6 Diamonds. It was absolutely magical.
Possibly the most impressive performance at this year's World Championships. Ireland's Sanita Puspura dominating the race and beating Janine Gemellen of Switzerland, the current world champion.
Gemellan leapt out of the start there. You can see that sort of shorter stroke. She's a power-packed athlete, just 1m71, the shortest athlete in this race. There's Clara Kohler, the Californian, who's done so well this year, the 27-year-old. And, well, that white boat of lane 4, Clara Kohler, at the back at the moment. Sanita Puspura, oh my goodness.
Look at the start here from the German Anna-Katrin Thiele over in lane 1, the 2016 Olympic champion in the women's quadruple scull. She struggled a little bit in the single to get herself onto the podium. A very proficient sculler, but not quite there at the front of the field. But here she is leading out this field from lane 1. Over here in lane 6, currently in second, tussling bow ball for bow ball in this very early stage of the race, is Sanita Puspura in the form of her life, coached by Australian Dave McGowan, the new high performance director of Irish rowing, of course, Antonio Morogiovanni. And we've seen some changes there, but Sanita Puspura is certainly one of the beneficiaries of that new coach, Dave McGowan, looking after her.
Yeah, doing a really tough program, I think, based probably on the legendary Italian Lemura's tough training program. And in the Lucerne Regatta, Puspura was really just around about half a length up. There is Puspura. She was half a length up on the world champion, who came through her in the middle of the course. But Gemellan, you can see the distance now. It is some 12, 13 metres. This is Puspura's race to lose. She is on the form of her life. She's so loose in her shoulders, so powerful in terms of the drive face, so coordinated. And you can see Gemellan is probably back there in third place. Fiubi Eriksson has had a fantastic start and now coming back into the race as we come through the first 500 metre mark.
And we saw a huge sprint from Fiubi Eriksson, the silver medalist from the London Olympic Games in the women's single scull. There she's on screen, currently in second. A huge sprint to take out second place in her semi to Puspura, and that was a real change in that race profile. The first time we'd seen her come out with that kind of speed, Martin.
It absolutely is. Sanita Puspura, she looks fantastic, doesn't she? Look at that clear water margin. That's more than Kjetil Borchaz. Fiubi Eriksson is in fantastic form. She's in second place, the world champion now. You can see the bows, that number 5, just out of shot on the left of this trailing shot of the scullers there. And Gemellan moves into joint second with Fiubi Eriksson. Anna-Katrin Thiele going off the back. We've yet to see Lobnik or the American make a move. Let's take a look at Gemellan, because this is now probably the most important second 500 metres of her life. She's got to get back in contact with Puspura, Sarah.
She's unbeaten this season, Janine Gemellan. She was World Rowing Female Athlete of the Year last year after winning that World Championships in Sarasota, Bray Denton. She's won Henley this year. She's won the World Cups. But here she is with clear water down on Sanita Puspura of Ireland. Coming into this regatta and seeing the early rounds of the women's single scull, we really fancied the form that Puspura was in. And here she is coming up to the 1,000-metre mark, looking absolutely dominant.
Well, Gemellan just can't see just how far Puspura is leading her. There is Clara Kohler in the white boat at the back of the field. Well, I think she's gradually working her way through. Possibly a bronze medal is on for her. Look how low down that drive. She really gets it in the glutes low down. All that tough training work she's done with her coach. And Dave McGowan has done an incredible job, really just to loosen her out, get that drive lower down in the powerful muscles as she goes through the 1,000 metres. It's off the world's best time pace, set by the Bulgarian, who will be here, I think, presenting the medals for Romania Nikova. But this is a performance that Nikova would be absolutely mind-blown to see. Janine Gemellan, well, it's now or never. The third quarter is where she's got to get back that overlap, Sarah.
Puspura looking dominant here, the Irish single sculler. Is she going to make it? 2 gold medals here at this championship after we saw the stunning victory from the O'Donovans in the lightweight men's double sculls yesterday. But Sanita Puspura of Ireland, she's in the lead. But here comes the charge from Gemellan. Gemellan now breaking through Fiubi Eriksson of Denmark, pushing her into third. She's trying desperately to get her bow ball onto Puspura, but she's not making a dent.
No, we're looking at the boat speed of the 2 scullers here, and as you can see, the boat speed is pretty similar, 4.6, 4.5 metres a second. Both scullers travelling the same speed. We haven't seen the expected charge from Gemellan. There she is on the left of his shot. Prospera sculling here for the Old Collegians Boat Club. That's for the alumni of University College Dublin. And the 36-year-old, originally from Latvia, she came over with her Latvian husband to Ireland and made her home there. And this is now beautiful to match the triumph of the O'Donovan brothers yesterday. Will this be a marvellous World Championships for Ireland with 2 gold medals? There is only about 2 minutes left in this race.
We saw Ketel Borsch in the race before, dominant from lane 6, and here is Prospera. She's doing almost exactly the same thing. Clear water over the world champion. So we've seen the world champion in these 2 single sculling races fighting desperately for silver. Andre Sinek in the one beforehand, and now Janine Gemelin. She takes a couple of sort of rolly strokes there. It is tricky, it is fast out on this water. She comes through the 1500 metre mark with about a 3-length lead over the Swiss sculler. It is Sunita Prospera of Ireland with 500 metres to go.
There's Janine Gemelin. You can see 3.5 seconds nearly the distance between Gemelin is digging in, but Prospera is gone and away. She won this race in the first quarter. She's been in beautiful style. Janine Gemelin has never been beaten really in the last 2 years in a sculling race. She's never been led by this distance. Can she come back? It will really need an accident, an upset for the Irish sculler to lose this race. Gemelin is in that silver medal position. Fie Ubi Eriksson has had a fantastic scull. Lobnig there is in bronze medal position, in 4th place head-to-head with Clara Kohler. Can either of them get back on Fie Ubi Eriksson at the moment? It looks like Lobnig is there with a sprint for the bronze medal.
The fastest moving boat on the course is now Lobnig from Austria. She's dangerous. She's up at 37 strokes a minute. She is challenging Fie Ubi Eriksson for that bronze medal. At this stage, out of it are the German and the US scullers. Anna Katrantile over in lane 1. I think she's in 6th. Cara Kohler of the United States. She's had a great breakthrough season in the single, but she's in 5th. It is Lobnig now challenging. She's only a couple of metres behind the Dane, Fie Ubi Eriksson, but no doubt about the leader here. It is Sunita Prospera with a clear water lead over the world champion, Janine Gemelin of Switzerland. Coming down to the line, it will be a fight for the bronze.
Wow, 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 what a distance. Prospera just winds up. She is now the fastest moving woman on this course. A sensational sprint finish. She looks for the line. It is just there, Sunita. You are going to get your first medal at a World Championships. It will be gold. You have done it, Prospera. The world champion punches the air. The new world champion. She beats Janine Gemelin, who gives up her crown. In 3rd place, a great sprint from Lobnig, just takes it away from Clara Kohler. And then Fie Ubi Eriksson in 5th place. Anna-Katrine Thiele will cross the line surely in 6th place. There will be tears, there will be smiles, there will be hugs, there will be emotion on display, but the Irish national anthem will be heard for a 2nd time soon over the waters of this beautiful lake in Plovdiv. Gemelin in 2nd, Magdalena Lobnig in 3rd place. The O'Donovan brothers will be watching on after, I guess, their night out. But what a performance. There is Clara Kohler off the start. As we see the reverse angle shot of the scullers going away from the start. Janine Gemelin, the world champion, that distinctive lean back. But Sunita Prospera dominated this race really very early on. And that margin.
It's always sensational when you beat a reigning world champion, as Sunita Prospera did in the women's single sculls when she headed Switzerland's Janine Gemelin. But this was Prospera's first world championship result win, and it was amazing. Just the amount she won by. I mean, she pushed Gemelin so close into herself, but Prospera was 2 lengths up, 3 lengths up with clear water in the middle of that race. Tremendous tribute to the Irishwoman and her coach, Dave McGowan. Absolutely sensational. Probably, as I said, one of the best results of the World Championships.
But my most exciting moment of 2018 was a sensational Grand Challenge Cup final, the 8s at Henley Regatta between the Australians at the top of your picture and the Romanians below.
Of course, that was a phenomenal time they set yesterday, 1:42 to the barrier.
It's astounding, isn't it?
I mean, Ben Lewis didn't even think An8 could go that quickly. So the final of the Grand Challenge Cup gets underway. It's the men from the National Training Centre of Australia on the right of your picture, and the youngsters from Romania. Look at that high rated start, over 50 strokes a minute on the start.
Look at the boat just bouncing all over the place. The amount of power that's going down through these guys, and they're moving away from the Australians off the first 10 strokes.
Do you know the Australians won't be? Alex Hill looks across there, the South Australian. He's just one of those guys that can go crazy. He loves that high rate of striking. He stroked the floor when they won in Linz, and I think he took it over higher than their coach Ian Wright wanted. But he is one mean rate king. That, you know, he's being out-jumped by the Romanians.
You said like the Romanians, you said they're going to go out hard. Look at this. They have gone to a third of a length.
I've got to get my rate watch on this. I haven't taken rates in commentary, but let's just get a rate on the Romanians.
But now you can start to see.
I think they're at 43.5, and I think they'll hold that all the way down, Adrian.
It's almost like they're holding their breath and going for 6 minutes, isn't it?
See, the youngster, 21 years of age in the stroke seat. Behind him, the experience of Pirigui.
And they're still moving away.
Yeah, they're still moving away. This is a sensational run. I mean, the record's got to go to the barrier, hasn't it? You know, 142
so.
in these conditions. The Aussies were up on the British, but these Romanians, they know no fear. I mean, in effect, I think they will get rode through by the Australians. I can't see them maintaining this pace, but I did see them in a heat in the European Championships last year, and they maintained this all the way, and they won the heat. Didn't do so well in the final, but they do have that one-off capacity, and this could be that race, Adrian.
I've got to say, you know, in an 8's race, it's the least amount of time, it's the fastest boat, and quite often this kind of strategy of blasting out pays off in an 8, because it's quite hard to change the boat speed once it's up and running. It takes so much more power because it has so much momentum.
So there we see Alex Hill, the 25-year-old South Australian. Behind him, Jack Hargreaves from Sydney University. There we see Alex Purnell, also from Sydney University, in the 6th seat. The man who's come into this boat from the Quadruple Scull, Spencer Turry, for Sydney Rowing Club, back in the 4th seat. Tim Masters from the Victorian, UTS Victoria. Josh Booth, the man who took a silver in that Olympic 4 in the Rio Games, as did Alex Hill, the strokeman. Two of that crew in this fantastic Australian boat. Josh Hicks with the yellow cap there in the 2 seat, and Angus Moore up in the bow seat. I love watching him row a bow. He gives 110%, that man, and he's so exciting to watch the Sydney Rowing Club oarsmen.
And at the moment, you can't see there's much change, can you? The Romanians really staying on top of this. The Aussies, it's not a crew they normally race in. They're in their 4s and quads and stuff like you said. So will they be drilled enough to keep under this kind of pressure to keep it together?
Do you know, when you've won the World Championships, as that Australian crew has, and you know, you've rowed away from the field, you've got a lot of experience in that boat. You know, they do all row the same way. You know, the Romanians are going to be absolutely hanging out there. They will be dying in the last part of this race. But, you know, for me, it's so exciting to watch. This is one of the most exciting races of the regatta. You know, why couldn't the British 8 do this? Jürgen Grobler won't let them rate that high, but they go out, they show no fear, they go over at 42, 43. It's exciting racing, it's fun, it's sexy, it's what the crowds want to see.
And it's amazing because last year at the World Championships, a lot of crews were rating very high, and everybody was sort of quite sceptical, saying, oh, we can't keep doing this, the rates have to come down, this is ridiculous. But it's not, is it? These crews are still, so maybe it's the new modern thing. With all the telemetry people are using, they're figuring out different stroke lengths and cadences to get the maximum boat speed.
They have got 3/4 of a length on the Australians, who beat the British National 8 yesterday. This is a sensational performance from Romania. They've got about 700 metres to hold on to it.
They need to dig in now.
2:52 we're seeing on the time.
Second record by a second.
Yeah, that's the record. It was equalled yesterday by the Australians. The Romanians are moving quicker. It is quicker conditions than yesterday. Will the grand record be under threat? The Romanians won't care about the record, because the Romanians want to win this race.
Look at the faces of those guys. They are having a bit of a peak, digging in really hard. They're just going to have to... Oh, well, this is amazing. It looks like the Australians are starting to come back a little bit.
They are starting to come back, Adrian. You're absolutely right. You called it right. I don't see the Romanians hanging on. This will be a sensational second half from the Australians.
So, well, minute 40 to go.
Minute 40. I mean, you do think in the tailwind conditions, the 8 that goes out first will lead. They will dominate. So let's hear it for those
half a length on the progress board.
Closest to us, Vlad Dragus, Akabai. Demi Adrian in the 2 seat, that's Martina in 3, Konstantin Radu in the 4 seat. Adam Constantine in 5, Bejan Pirigi, Alexandru Cosmin-Maccabi, the stroke man who's led that magical race.
Can they respond? There's a canvas now. Can they respond? The Aussies have done a big push to get back on terms.
You know, there's plenty of water for the Aussies. The Aussies are going to win this, Adrian. That's been so fantastic to watch the race. And the Romanians, well, they're shortening up now. What's the race?
It's level now. Yeah, the Aussies now they're through.
This is rain wars, isn't it? The Romanians, I think there are 46 strokes a minute I've just got on my rating watch. Is that right? I can't believe what I'm seeing.
I think they've really checked the bodies can't cash.
46. What are the Australians at? Let's take their rating. The Australians at 44. That's 44 v 46. There's still about 300 metres to go to the finish of the final of the Grand Challenge Cup.
Amazing.
The Australians at the top of your picture from the National Training Centre in Canberra. Romanians, they have led this race all the way, and they are fighting to stay with the Australians. But what a sensational final!
The Romanians are keeping it together, but the Australians are going to. Oh, that's incredible! They are going to be chasing that final. Look at the stroke rate now coming through to the finish there. 6 or 7 strokes to go.
Unbelievable race, unbelievable run. Australia will win the Grand Challenge Cup for the 4th time in that nation's history. Brilliant race, what a fantastic contest. That's what rowing's about. Sensationally set up by the young Romanians from Dinamo and Stoic clubs. This was a race.
That's an amazing race. What was that, just over half a length in the end? That, I mean, it just shows you about just not having too much respect for your opposition and just going as hard as you can.
And you know, the Australians have won it 4 times, but next year's the 100th anniversary of the King's Cup, which was the peace regatta after the First World War. And
this was such a cool race to commentate on. The Romanians, coached by the Italian coach Antonio Colomanici, were absolutely flying. You know, they love to go over at high rates to strike him. 41, 42, 43 in the middle of the race. But of course, they were up against this relatively untried Australian combination. They had the guys from the 4 and a couple of guys from the 8, Alex Purnell from the Australian men's quad. Pretty scratch crew, but Ian Ryder put them together. And boy, did they fly. Alex Hill really likes the rate high up, but the Romanians led the Australians early on in the race. The Australians were never phased though. They stuck to their task and they came back, as you can see from that drone shot, and it was so exciting, sexy, fantastic rowing. Brilliant, and my most exciting racing moment of 2018.